Welcome welcome to another edition of From the Bleachers Sports Show. This is me, your buddy old pal, your compadre, your amigo, Tommy. Here we are. We're looking to discuss. We're going to talk about NWA Powerrr from this past Tuesday, which is at 6:05. Of course, you guys should know that on YouTube. This episode was an hour. I think it was like close to an hour and a half. Now a total, and obviously, wasn't. I'm not sure of actually the ring time total. But again, they went a little bit longer. Kind of your go. This was the go home show before NWA Hard Times, which is this coming Friday, and I'll explain how I feel about that pay-per-view a little bit later. But looking at this episode, I think it was called Generational Clash. You right off the top, you got the feel of this being a big time episode. One half of the Rock and Roll Express, and they kept Morton in the back. Gibbs was out. Explaining how he's so happy for his partner. His partner deserves it. He's happy for his partner, looking, forward to, his match, and supporting there, giving him support. So you got the big feel, the big match feel right off the top. So like that, you started off that way. You kind of, and this would be the theme of this whole show, jumping around. Just thinking, just sticking to what this theme of the show was, and how they tried to convey it, that it's a big time deal type of thing. You had two of the bigger promo guys in the company, and Eli Drake and James Storm, who led the NWA studio audience in prayer to sweet baby Jesus, and hoping that Mr. Morton wins the title. So your two bigger guys, as far as name recognition, as well as on the microphone, and Eli Drake and James Storm, again hit home that aspect, that big match feel, the importance of it. History could be made. I think the NWA it definitely made that. I definitely got that feeling from NWA. Now, would I have possibly liked, would I have liked to see some type of older, maybe video footage? I'm not even sure if that's possible. Not sure exactly what, if any, Billy owns of the NWA library. Maybe have an old-time talent from the NWA come out there and just vouch some of the matches that Morton had, some of the, or some of the rather hard times that he was going through backstage, to kind of vouch for it, like this guy deserved it, this guy was always held back. I would have appreciated something like that. But nonetheless, I got the impression that this was a big match, and I liked the presentation that the NWA did with that. Then the matches, began. and this is obviously in no particular order, just kind of spitballing, going, skipping around. Melina and Allison Kay. It was a little weird to me, right? I didn't particularly like this segment all that much, in a sense of it came off as you have Allison Kay, your quote-unquote champion, and she is being bossed around by Melina. Like, okay, well, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to be in a DQ match before you get her next time in the pay-per-view. That's what you're going to have to do. And you know, like, Allison Kay is jumping through hoops, and she's the champ. And Melina is like, you know, like the puppet master, dictating what she wants, when she wants. Listen, Allison Kay wants Melina. Melina's like, you're not ready for this, baby girl. You're going to have to face Thunder Rosa. You're going to have to face Marty Bell, which she did in a no DQ match. I did kind of, I expected a little bit more, you know, interference. You know, it was a no DQ match, but not really many weapons were used. Not really, you know, nothing really that would be like, all right, well, just saying really why is there justification? Why is this a no DQ match? And I guess maybe why they had to do it that way is because if you're on YouTube, you know, there's certain terms of service. You don't want to get a strike. You don't want to get violation. So they maybe played it as much as they could. I don't know. Just my 2 cents on the matter. There was really no need for it to be a no DQ match. Really, not much was used. You know, if that makes any sense to you. Melina is the puppet master. Made the champion look a little weak, being that she's being bossed around. Allison Kay should have been like, no, listen, I'm the champ, and this is how we're doing it. Instead, it was the, you know, all the way around. And Melina was in charge. Interested to see how this storyline progresses. You know, finally, we've seen Allison Kay on our NWA Powerrr TV show, so that's a plus. We've seen the gauntlet match, you know, kind of a last chance gauntlet to determine who will be thrown in for that TV title. And Kennedy does win it. Wins that gauntlet, and you see Kennedy turn. I think this is what you need to see from that Kennedy character. I think this is a good change. This is something that you want to see. I don't think him being quote unquote, you know, favorite really was working. I think the serious evil, they called him Kennedy, evil Anderson will work. I think he's definitely gaining momentum now, but I think that he's I think, you know, with Kennedy or Anderson rather, he's missing some type of, I don't know, the connection with the studio audience, with that crowd wasn't really there. I don't know, something is missing, but you could sense it. You know, maybe it's that Mr. Anderson. That was horrible. But maybe that's what's missing. Something, I think it's missing something to get that oomph, and why the crowd should really hate him. Now, his attack on Colt Cabana, I think it helped. It helped because now the fans are, the fans were chanting, "Go away," But I still think there is something that's just not there. But with the expertise and how many years Anderson has been around, I'm sure he could put it together. Also in that last man gauntlet, we've seen Jessipus. Jessipus, I don't get why they did this in a sense. They, was one of the hottest things here way back when, and then in storyline he's suspended. You don't see him on TV. I think you've seen him and then you've seen him for like a couple of seconds. I'm not sure exactly how many seconds in the gauntlet. As soon as he's makes it into the ring, he's already knocked out. What exactly was the point of that? And this was a character that was a pretty strong character. Why not? If you're doing this, why are you wasting like a re-debut of a character that has a lot of fabric, a lot of substance behind it? You introduce that character, for 5 seconds. This should have been something that maybe should have been a bigger build and just reintroduce him properly. I don't think his re-debut or his appearance did any justice. I'm a little bit confused too because I'm not even sure. I can't recall him being in the tournament to begin with. So if it's a last chance in storyline, right? If you're suspended, why would you even be coming off of suspension, right? Because now you're in the NWA ring, so you figure you're off of suspension. Why would you be thrown? Why would you be given a gift of possibly earning a spot in the tournament? Kind of, is all forgiven kind of thing right away? I don't know. That was a little weird to me too. In that gauntlet match, and I've been telling you that I'm a fan of the Dawsons. And I don't understand, what they did to the Dawsons. The Dawsons remind me of like of the Briscoe brothers, to that similar type of ilk, where they could be like, only these guys are like bruisers, and I just think the Dawsons, there's so much more that could be behind the Dawsons. They had the momentum, the first few opening episodes of Powerrr, and then they kind of seem to have lost steam. And then next thing you know, they're reading Shakespeare, which had me scratching my head. And they're losing, they're getting pimped out by. They're getting bitched out by the. I say pimped out. Cannot speak at all. They're getting bitched out by the wild cards, and they're losing all steam. I like that spot in that gauntlet match where pretty much everyone is piling on top to get the pin on Dawson, to one of the Dawsons, to eliminate them. At least that brings some credibility, trying to build some credibility back to one half of the Dawsons, hopefully to both of the Dawsons real soon, because I think they lost a lot of steam, from the steam that they had in the beginning. They were looking like badasses. Now, they look like a bunch of jabronis. So I like that spot where it was pretty much everyone in the ring laying on top to get that pin on Dawson. making still you're portraying to the audience, to the TV set, that that this guy, even though he might not be on setting the world on fire, he's still a threat. The same could be said for Kingston and Homicide. Kingston is defending his partner Homicide. He's saying that he cares about Homicide. It's just him and it's him and Homicide. They're in this together. They're gonna make it work. He's waiting for his partner. That's where his dedication is to being the best that he could be with his partner Homicide. And for whatever reason, he's out there and he's not, pretty much the Pope made Kingston, he was telling the truth in the Pope, in the fact of Kingston and Homicide didn't get the job done. But if you're a big bad Eddie Kingston, there is the Pope mouthing you guys. Why aren't you attacking them? If Homicide's your guy, and there he is, just pretty much saying that you got, you're nothing. Still looking for the quote unquote new horseman. If I'm Kingston, he just told me that he cares about Homicide. That's his guy. Someone's mouthing me and my partner, I'd be attacking the Pope, wouldn't you? Normally, a big, and listen, I'm a big fan of Aaron Stevens. I like what this guy could take. It's almost the equivalent of like an R-Truth, where R-Truth from the WWE, if you give him anything, whatever you give him, he's going to try to make chicken shit into gold. So this guy always puts 125% in, right? So, and that's what Aaron Stevens does. He from the WWE, his prior work, he was the stunt double, the intellectual savior of the masses. And then NWA, he was, when he debuted, he was like this a movie star that was filming Hollywood. And then, he found his sensei, and he becomes this karate master. For the first time, this week's episode, to me, now, I know the audience was enjoying, the TV audience there. To me, it was a little cringe. It's like, all right, enough. This is the NWA. They fight. They are prestige. And I get it. You have to have all different variety. Variety is good. But to me, this was like the first week where it was like, all right, enough of the karate. Little bit too much, and it's good in doses, but this seemed like it was an extra long segment to me, honestly. I liked, now Odell, they finally addressed, and Dave Marquez did, not so much the other members of Strictly Business, because, Mr. Nick Aldis had bigger fish to fry later on in the night. But Dave Marquez finally addressed Royce Isaacs, and he said, listen, Royce, you in Strictly Business, you've been on the losing end, and you've been in the ring when Strictly Business has lost. What do you got to say for yourself? So that has finally been addressed. So I like that has been addressed. Like, listen, Isaacs, you're not exactly, you might be the weak link here of Strictly Business. Now, I don't think that, you got to let this play out. With Strictly Business. But, Strictly Business needs some W's under their belt, because whenever they're in competition, they're losing. They're losing. Main event of the night, Morton, Aldis. I think there was no shock. I mean, there was a moment there with the finger four that Morton had that maybe you thought that there was a chance that he could pull it off. I just personally did not see that. I'll be honest with you. I always thought that Aldis would win. I like Doe. This seems to be the thing. Even though Morton, I don't think, Morton really needs to worry about wins and losses, and is at this point in his career now. I like the fact that at the end of that match, though, it was pretty much like a roll-up type of maneuver. You still had Morton looking like $1 million, where it almost seemed like Morton came out like with a lot of credibility, took the champ to the max in all this. Now, does this make all this make him look a little bit weak? I don't know. I mean, is it a convincing victory? No. But, Morton still looks like he's a credible opponent at 65-something years old. So, it was, they did right. Listen, Morton still wound up looking like $100 million after this match. The Hard Times pay-per-view. These people drive like maniacs here. The Hard Times pay-per-view. It's Friday at a weird. Friday 7:00. That's like a weird day and a weird time. 7:00. A lot of people are still trying to regroup after the work day. Still trying to catch up, trying to eat their dinner. Maybe still trying to come home from traffic wherever they are. So I worry about that. I worry about the pay-per-view. Because, like I said, to me, that's a weird start time and a weird day. I personally would have also liked there to have been a little bit more, all right, if you're putting ROH with your pay-per-view, it's almost, some ROH stars will be on the pay-per-view for NWA. Maybe this whole invasion angle with all this invaded ROH and Scroll, maybe it could have been played out a little bit better. I know they did interviews. They introduced to you Flip Gordon and what he's all about, but maybe could they have done a little bit more with that? And I know just the way the matches unfolded, you weren't able to get the full card until like the very last minute. My question to you is, so you really, the storyline that you're building for people to buy this pay-per-view is who, for a new TV champ to be crowned. my question for you is, did they do it the right way, that way, by the whole angle being a new TV champ crown, or could they have done it some other way? Still have this be for the TV championship, but maybe be able to somehow concentrate on the card for that pay-per-view, which would have been, what do you think would have been a better option? I don't know if just saying, all right, TV championship determined, if that's enough for people to buy a pay-per-view. And a lot of the matches have been kind of added the last minute too, right? So I don't know. I just don't know if it's too early for if it was too early for another pay-per-view after you just had one not too long ago. My pick for the NWA TV title, I am gonna go with Ken Anderson. My pick. I think that he has a lot of steam behind him now. I think he could be a really, really dirty heel. Just a couple of things. A couple of things are missing, but I think Anderson has. I think he has a good chance of becoming the new TV title, new TV champ. Hope all is well. Look forward to speaking to you guys very, very soon.